how would Chris Eubank Jr. fare in a fight against Canelo Alvarez? This was a question that was asked by one of my subscribers, and I think it's a pretty interesting question. Both of these fighters are on the lips of a lot of people at the moment for various different reasons. One of the reasons being that they both, I guess you could say, ducked or were not keen to sign to fight Gennady Golovkin. So match these two guys together, how would that fight play out? Most people who have responded to this question seem to be of the opinion that Canelo would not only beat Chris Eubank Jr., but he would destroy him. I've even seen people say that Canelo would stop Chris Eubank Jr. I have to strongly disagree with that notion. Styles do make fights, and I'm rinsing that terminology, that phrase at the moment in my videos recently, but it is what it is. Styles do make fights, and I can't see Canelo being able to get off the kind of combinations that he got off against Liam Smith if he was fighting Chris Eubank Jr. I think Eubank Jr. is too tall, he can move too well, so if it is too hot for him in the pocket, he can get on his bike. He can use his height and reach advantage and stick and move a little bit. I don't think he's just going to be a sitting duck for all Canelo's combinations. I just don't see it. I know Eubank Jr. does like to trade, but he's not stupid. If you look at the Nick Blackwell fight, for example, he wasn't trading that much in the Nick Blackwell fight. He was boxing. He was moving around, and Nick Blackwell was marching in on him, and Eubank Jr. was using a lot of head movement, a lot of jabs, and when Nick Blackwell would come in, he was firing off the uppercut and then opening up with combinations and then spinning away. So he wasn't trying to stand toe-to-toe with Blackwell, certainly not in the first half of the fight, and just engage in a shootout. He wasn't really trying to do that. So he does have some type of tactical wisdom about him. And if he was to fight Canelo, why wouldn't he employ some type of tactical wisdom? Why wouldn't he think, okay, I'm much taller than Canelo. I can move. I do have hand speed. So why not use it? I am taller than this guy. I think he would use it. And for that reason, and particularly if he got into trouble, if Canelo hurt him or whatever in the middle of the ring, he's not just going to stand there and keep on trading. He's most likely going to start sticking and moving. And Canelo has problems with people who stick and move. He certainly never fought anybody as athletically, actually, let me not say he's never fought anybody as athletically gifted as Chris Eubank Jr. because it's debatable. He has fought Erislandy Lara, etc., who is very athletically gifted, but Lara is not the combination puncher that Eubank Jr. is, and obviously is not as tall and rangy and all that type of stuff. So, based on styles, one thing I cannot see happening if Canelo was to fight Chris Eubank Jr. right now is Canelo stopping Eubank Jr. I don't see that happening. Eubank Jr.'s got very good stamina. He's got very good work rate. He can stick and move if need be to survive. I can't see Canelo stopping him. Could I see Canelo outpointing him? Well, Canelo certainly fought at a much higher level. That's one thing we can say. So he's bound to have learned something from the experiences he's had in there with top fighters. Has he learned enough to be able to deal with somebody like Chris Eubank Jr.? Because it really would be a first for both of them. Eubank Jr. has never fought anyone remotely like Canelo, and Canelo's never fought anybody remotely like Chris Eubank Jr. I think it's actually a very interesting fight. And I would not at all be disappointed if that fight was to get made at 160. Don't get it twisted. I prefer Canelo just went straight into a fight with Triple G at 160. But since Canelo's talking about the Liam Smith fight being his final fight at 154, if they were to announce, Canelo against Chris Eubank Jr., I don't hate the fight. I think it's intriguing and I think it's competitive. So, regardless who you think would win, regardless who I think would win, I think it's a competitive fight and it's definitely something that I'd be interested in watching. Both of them have got exciting styles. Both of them let their hands go. Both of them are quick-handed. Chris Eubank Jr., in my opinion, being more fleet of foot. So, anyway, let me know what you think of that fantasy fight or potential fight. How do you think it would go? Who do you think would win? How would the fight play out? And I'm probably going to do another video on Chris Eubank Jr. because according to Frank Warren, him and his dad are trying to get a deal with ITV, which is really the way to go. But with all the negative publicity that the Eubanks have been generating lately, will ITV want to take them on? Television companies in the UK tend to be a bit more conservative than they are in the United States. When somebody has made controversial statements, in the UK, the television companies are more likely to turn their backs on you. I mean, even things like swearing, for example, on television in the UK, it's still less accepted than it is in the United States. Certainly with sports, you watch sports in the United States, particularly boxing, and you'll see fighters swearing all over the damn place. And the commentators and announcers or whatever are not really trying to apologize for the swearing. Sometimes they do, but not that often. Whereas in the UK, you hear people say things which are barely even swear words, and the commentators or the presenters are like, oh, we apologize for the language and this, that, and the other. So in Britain, they're definitely a bit more, and this is just the media, not people in general, but the media are a bit touchy when it comes to people making controversial statements or statements they perceive as controversial or swearing or anything like that. So will ITV be willing to take on the Eubanks, given what they've been saying in the media over the past few weeks and months? I don't know, we'll see. But I think that warrants a video by itself because the ITV situation is interesting. Anyway, let me know how you feel about everything I talked about in this video. Chris Eubank Jr. against Canelo Alvarez. Would you like to see the fight? If the fight took place, let's say next, who would you favor in the fight? How do you see the fight playing out? All right? Let me know. It's your boy Hatman. I'm out.